John had always been an ordinary man with an ordinary life. He lived in a quiet town on Earth, spent most of his days in a small laboratory, and studied stars and planets as a scientist. For years he had looked at the sky through his telescope, imagining the mysteries of the universe. He loved the stars, the endless stretches of space, and the thought that somewhere, beyond what humans knew, life could exist. Still, he never expected anything extraordinary to happen to him. Life on Earth was predictable. Life in the stars was only a dream. One evening, John stayed late in his lab, analyzing data from a deep space telescope. He noticed something unusual. A bright, moving light far beyond the usual star patterns. At first, he thought it was a meteor, then a satellite, but it moved differently. It glowed softly, changing colors from blue to green, hovering above the cliffs not far from his lab. His curiosity grew. Without thinking much, he decided to investigate. John drove to the cliffs, his car crunching on the gravel path, his heart beating faster with every step. When he reached the edge, the glowing light floated closer, revealing something he could not have imagined. It was a spacecraft, sleek and elegant, glowing like it had been built from light itself. It did not look dangerous. It did not even make noise. It simply hovered, beautiful and quiet, as if it had appeared from a dream. Then the door of the spacecraft opened, and a woman stepped out. She was unlike any person John had ever seen. Her skin seemed to shimmer with soft light, and her hair flowed like liquid silver. Her eyes were wide, reflecting the stars themselves, and her movements were smooth, graceful, and calm. She looked at John with a gentle smile that made his heart feel strange, as if he had known her for a long time. Without hesitation, she spoke. "John, my husband!" John blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. He laughed nervously, shaking his head. "I think..."
"You have the wrong person. I'm not. I know who you are," she interrupted softly, her voice calm and musical.
"I know everything about you. You are the one I have been searching for." John stepped back, confused. Searching for me.
"Why are you calling me your husband? I don't understand."
The woman tilted her head slightly and smiled. "My name is Layara. I come from a world far away, beyond the stars you see."
"I have been sent to find you because you are special." "Because you are human." John stared at her, feeling his mind spin. He wanted to laugh, wanted to think this was a dream or a trick. But there was something in her eyes that made him pause. It was not fear. It was not anger. It was calm, warm, and kind. He could feel it deep inside himself, a connection he could not explain. "Why me?" John asked, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm just me. I'm ordinary. I study stars. That's it." "You are more than ordinary," Liara said, taking a step closer. "Humans are different from other species. You have a heart full of curiosity, courage, and creativity. You can see beyond what is in front of you. That is why I found you. That is why I need you." John's mind was racing. A woman from another planet had arrived at his small town, called him her husband, and claimed he had a purpose in the galaxy. It sounded impossible. Yet every word she spoke felt truthful. He did not feel tricked. He did not feel threatened. He only felt strange, a mix of fear, excitement, and wonder. For the rest of that night, John and Liara spoke. She told him about her home planet, Aurinia, a world of endless forests, crystal-clear rivers, and cities that floated above the ground. She spoke of civilizations that traveled the stars, studied the universe, and lived in harmony with nature. Her language was simple but full of meaning, and her thoughts were clear. John listened, mesmerized. He had always imagined alien life, but hearing about it in such detail made it real. She did not demand anything from him. She only shared, explained, and waited. She told him that humans were special, that they had potential that even humans themselves did not know. "You can help bring understanding between worlds," she said. "You can show them what humans can do, not with weapons, not with force, but with thought, creativity, and kindness." John did not know how to respond. He felt small and insignificant compared to the galaxy she described. He had never left his small town. He had never done anything remarkable. And yet, she said he had the power to change the universe. The thought was both terrifying and exciting. Over the next few days, John found himself thinking about Lyra constantly. He wanted to see her, to speak with her, to understand everything she had told him. He would visit the cliffs, hoping to see the glowing light of her ship, hoping to see her smile. And she was always there, waiting patiently, as if she knew he would come. They began to explore small things together. Liara showed him how her ship could move silently across the cliffs, how it could hover in the air, and how it used energy from the stars to function. John's mind was full of questions, and she answered every one with patience. Every night, he returned home more amazed, more curious, more certain that life as he knew it had changed forever. Yet the question of why she called him her husband remained. John could not understand it, and he did not know if he wanted to. Part of him felt honored. Part of him felt frightened. How could a human from Earth be someone's husband in the galaxy? How could he accept a bond he did not understand? Lyra never pushed. She only smiled and said, "In time, you will understand. The name is only a symbol. Our connection is what matters."
You and I are partners in ways that go beyond your imagination. One day you will see.
That night, John lay in his small bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the stars. He felt restless, unable to sleep. He thought about Liara, her words, her presence, and the universe she had shown him. He realized that something inside him had changed. He no longer felt like an ordinary man. He felt like a part of something bigger, something greater. For the first time in his life, John imagined stepping beyond Earth, beyond the limits of human knowledge, and seeing the universe as it truly was. He imagined meeting beings from other worlds, exploring planets he had only seen through telescopes, and learning things he could never have dreamed of. And in all of these thoughts, Liara was there, guiding him, waiting for him, as if she had always been part of his life. By the time dawn broke, John knew that his life had changed forever. He did not understand everything. He did not know what the future held. But he knew one thing. The universe was bigger than he had ever imagined, and somewhere in it, he had a place, a special place, chosen by someone who had come from the stars. And in that moment, as the sun rose over the cliffs and the first light touched the glowing ship, John felt something he had never felt before: hope, wonder, and a strange, unshakable certainty that his ordinary life was gone, and something extraordinary had begun. Over the next few days, John found himself unable to focus on his old routines. His telescope sat idle on the lab desk, untouched, while his thoughts wandered constantly to Liara and the mysteries she had introduced him to. Every time he looked at the sky, he no longer saw distant points of light. He saw possibilities. He saw other worlds, other beings, and himself standing among them. Lyra, as always, appeared at the cliffs in the evenings, her ship glowing softly in the twilight. She greeted him with the same calm smile, as if she had been expecting him all along. John approached her cautiously, unsure of how to act around someone who seemed both human and something far beyond humanity. Yet her presence was comforting. There was no fear, no pressure, only a quiet patience that made him feel safe. "John," Liara said one evening, her voice carrying softly over the cliffs, "I want to show you something." "What is it?" John asked, curiosity and a hint of nervousness in his voice. "Something about my world," she replied. "Something that will help you understand why I am here, and why I called you my husband." John nodded, though he did not fully understand. He followed her into the ship, stepping onto the smooth, glowing surface that felt almost alive beneath his feet. The interior was unlike anything he had ever seen. Light flowed along the walls like water, changing colors gently, and the air hummed with a quiet energy that made him feel awake, alert, and calm all at once. Liara guided him to a section of the ship that looked like a window, but it was not ordinary glass. As they approached, the scene shifted. John gasped. Outside, he saw a world unlike any he had imagined. Towering crystal forests glimmered in sunlight. Rivers shimmered with colors that shifted and danced, and cities floated above the ground, connected by bridges of light. Strange creatures moved gracefully among the landscapes, some flying in the sky, others walking on land, all living together in harmony. "This is Orinia," Liara said softly. "My home planet. You are seeing it, as it truly is, without filters. Humans and many other species are still young in understanding, but Orinia has learned to live in balance with life, energy, and knowledge." John's eyes widened. It's incredible."
How do you live there?" "Peacefully," Liara said.
"We share, we learn, we explore. Conflict exists, of course, but it is rare, because we have learned to solve problems without harming each other. Humans have that same potential. That is why I sought you. You are capable of helping others understand that possibility." John shook his head slowly, overwhelmed. "I don't understand. I'm just me." "I'm not special. I'm not a hero or a diplomat or anything important in the galaxy." Liara placed a hand on his shoulder, and he felt a strange warmth spread through him. Special does not mean extraordinary. Special means having the ability to see beyond what is obvious, to understand, to connect. Humans have it naturally.
"You have it naturally."
"That is why we found you." They spent hours together, Liara showing John more of Orinia through the ship's vision.
He saw festivals of lights where beings danced and sang in harmony with the stars. He saw schools where young creatures learned about the universe not just through books, but by experiencing it firsthand. He saw gardens where plants grew in symbiotic patterns, creating energy and nourishment without harm. Every scene left John more amazed, more curious, and more certain that he had never known the full scale of life and possibility in the universe. As the days passed, John began to notice subtle changes in himself. His thoughts felt clearer, more connected. When he spoke with Lyra, he could sense her feelings as if they were his own. When she showed him new ideas or solutions to small problems, he instinctively understood them. It was not magic, it was connection. Liara explained that their bond allowed them to share thoughts, emotions, and understanding in a way humans had not experienced before. At first, John was hesitant. The idea of sharing his mind with another being seemed strange, almost invasive. But Lyra never forced it. She only offered, and slowly, John learned to accept it. With each small experience, he felt more confident, more capable, and more aware of his own potential. One afternoon, while standing on the cliffs, John asked a question he had been avoiding. "Lyra, why do you call me your husband? I still don't understand." Liara smiled, as if she had expected the question. The word husband is not meant as humans understand it. It is a symbol, a recognition. You and I are connected in purpose, trust, and partnership. In Orinia, we do not use your words for relationships. But when I speak to you, I use words you can understand. You are my partner in what is to come, in bridging understanding between worlds. That is why I call you husband." John thought about it, the idea slowly sinking in. It was not a promise of love in the human sense. It was a promise of trust, a recognition of his role, and a symbol of the bond that could make something extraordinary possible. The words no longer felt strange. They felt important. Days turned into weeks. John began to see the universe not as distant and unreachable, but as a place full of possibility and wonder. He learned from Liara about her people's methods of exploration, how they moved quietly between planets, how they communicated with other beings, and how they solved problems without conflict. Each lesson left John amazed. Each insight made him feel more capable. One day, Liara asked John to try something new. "I want you to communicate with another species," she said, "not with words, but with understanding. Open your mind, feel what they feel, and see what they see." John hesitated, nervous. "How do I do that?" "Close your eyes," Lyra said gently. "Breathe. Focus. Let yourself be open." John obeyed. He felt a strange warmth flow through his body, a sense of presence that was not his own. Slowly, he felt emotions that were not his, thoughts that were not his. But he did not resist. He realized he was connected, understanding without words. It was not overwhelming. It was natural, gentle, and enlightening. When he opened his eyes, he saw Liara smiling. "You did it. You are capable. You are human. And that is your strength. You can connect, understand, and create solutions that no one else can. That is why you are important." John felt a swell of pride mixed with disbelief. He had never considered himself extraordinary, yet here he was, connecting with another species, seeing the universe in ways he had never imagined. He realized that humans had something unique: empathy, creativity, and courage. And he, ordinary John from Earth, could use it in ways that mattered across worlds. That night, John lay in bed, thinking about everything he had experienced. He thought about Liara, her calm wisdom and her patience. He thought about the planets he had seen through her ship. He thought about the emotions, connections, and understanding he had felt. And he realized that something within him had changed. He was no longer just a scientist studying stars. He was part of something larger. He was part of a journey that could connect worlds. He was part of a story that was just beginning, and the first chapter had already changed everything. John closed his eyes, feeling a strange sense of peace. He understood that the word husband no longer confused him. It was a promise, a symbol, and a bond, and he was ready, somehow, to step into a future he had never imagined. A future with Lyra among the stars, discovering the universe and discovering himself. The universe was vast, mysterious, and beautiful, and John knew for the first time that he was not alone. John's days had become filled with wonder, learning, and discovery. Every morning he would wake up thinking about the universe, thinking about Liara, and thinking about the possibilities of what humans could achieve. He no longer felt small or ordinary. With Liara's guidance, he had begun to understand that humans had unique qualities: curiosity, creativity, and empathy that could make a difference in ways no one on Earth could imagine. One morning, as the sun rose over the cliffs, John found Liara waiting for him. Her ship glowed softly in the dawn light, as if it had absorbed the warmth of the rising sun. She smiled at him, calm and patient as always.
"Good morning, John," she said. "Today we begin a new phase of your journey. It is time for you to learn how humans can connect with other species, not just through words or technology, but through understanding."
John nodded, a mix of excitement and nervousness in his chest.
"I'm ready."
"I want to learn. I want to understand." Liara led him onto the ship, and together they traveled to a nearby planet that orbited a sun larger than Earth's. The planet's surface was covered in soft, glowing plants, and strange creatures moved slowly among them, their forms shifting like liquid light. John had never seen anything like it. "These are the Solarans," Liara explained. "They are gentle beings, very intelligent, but they communicate in ways humans do not naturally understand. I want you to connect with them, John. Not as a scientist observing them, but as a human sharing understanding and trust." John took a deep breath. His mind raced with doubt. How could he communicate with beings that were so different? How could he connect with creatures that did not even speak? But Lyra's calm presence reassured him. He remembered her words. Humans' strength was not in force, but in curiosity, empathy, and creativity. He stepped forward, opening his mind as Liara had taught him. At first, he felt nothing but confusion. The Silaran's thoughts were unlike his own, flowing in colors, shapes, and sensations rather than words. But he did not panic. He focused, reaching out with his senses, trying to understand, to feel, and to connect. Slowly, the Silarans responded. Their colors shifted, soft blues and greens flowing like water around him. John felt a gentle wave of emotions, curiosity, friendliness, and a desire to share. He realized that he could respond not with words, but with his own feelings, his own curiosity, and his own openness. It was not easy, but with patience, a connection formed. Liara watched quietly, smiling. "See, John?
You are doing it. Humans have this ability naturally.
You only need to trust it." By the end of the day, John had learned to communicate with the Solarans in small ways, sharing ideas, understanding emotions, and even showing them how to solve a small problem in their environment. He felt proud, amazed, and humbled all at once. Humans were capable of so much, he realized, if only they could embrace their potential. The next day, Lyra took John to another planet, this one, covered in deserts of soft golden sand. Strange winds blew across the dunes, carrying whispers that seemed to echo in John's mind. Here lived a species called the Thryn, tall and thin with translucent skin that shimmered in sunlight. They moved carefully, as if every step mattered, and their eyes reflected curiosity and intelligence. "Humans are capable of learning from every species," Lyra said. "Not just teaching, but learning. Today, you will learn something important from the Thryn." John approached the Thryn slowly. Remembering the lessons from the Solarans, he opened his mind, letting go of fear and doubt. At first, the Thryn were cautious, their thoughts flickering like small sparks. But John did not rush. He shared his own feelings, curiosity, respect, and openness, and slowly, the Thryn began to trust him. In time, they showed him their ways of navigating the desert, using patterns in the wind and sand that humans could not naturally see. John watched, fascinated, as their intelligence revealed itself in ways beyond words. He realized that humans, too, could observe, adapt, and learn in ways other species might never expect. That was part of what made them special. After weeks of travel and study, John began to notice changes within himself. He could sense subtle emotions more clearly, understand problems faster, and even think in ways that seemed larger than himself. Lyra explained that the connection between them amplified his natural human abilities. Humans were naturally adaptable, and with guidance they could reach heights that seemed impossible. One evening, as they traveled back toward John's home planet, he turned to Liara. "I think I'm beginning to understand," he said softly. "It's not just about me learning. It's about humans. Humans have the ability to bring understanding between worlds. We can help others see, connect, and create harmony." Liara nodded.
Exactly, John. That is why I came for you.
Humans are young in the galaxy, but they are capable of greatness. You are a bridge. You are a symbol of what humans can achieve when they embrace their strengths and their hearts. John felt a swell of pride and responsibility. He had never considered himself capable of such things. On Earth, he had been a quiet man, content with his small routines. Now he realized that humanity had potential that stretched beyond the stars, And he, one human among billions, had been chosen to begin that journey. As they neared his home planet, Liara paused.
"There is one more lesson today," she said. "A lesson about trust, patience, and leadership."
Tomorrow, we will face a challenge that will require you to apply everything you have learned. John felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He trusted Liara, but he wondered what kind of challenge could require him to use everything he had learned. Yet, he felt ready. The connection, the understanding, and the experiences he had gained had changed him. He was no longer just John from Earth. He was John, the human who could connect worlds, who could understand others, and who could make a difference without ever using force. That night, lying in bed and thinking about the galaxy, John felt something he had never felt before: purpose. He understood that his life had meaning beyond what he had ever imagined. The universe was vast, full of wonders and mysteries, and humans had a role in it. They could explore, learn, and help create connections across species. He closed his eyes, feeling Liara's presence in his mind, calm and steady. "I will do my best," he whispered, though she could hear him without words. "I will try to be worthy of this journey, of this trust, of this partnership." And Liara's response was soft, encouraging, and full of warmth. "You are already worthy, John. You are human, and that is enough. That is all you need to change the universe." As he drifted into sleep, John dreamed not of ordinary things, but of stars, planets, and the endless possibilities of life beyond Earth. He dreamed of connecting with beings unlike anything he had ever seen, solving problems with understanding and empathy, and discovering the strength that humans carried within themselves. When he awoke, the first rays of sunlight touched his face. The cliffs outside glowed softly, as if welcoming a new day. John smiled, feeling ready for whatever lay ahead. He no longer feared the unknown. He no longer doubted his abilities. With Liara by his side, he was ready to embrace humanity's place in the galaxy and take the first steps toward a future that was larger, brighter, and more extraordinary than he could have ever imagined. And so, John prepared for the day ahead, filled with hope, wonder, and a determination that had grown quietly but steadily within him. The universe was vast, and he had only begun to explore it. But he knew one thing for certain. Humans, with all their curiosity, creativity, and courage, could shine among the stars, and he, John, had been given the chance to show them how. The next morning, John woke with a sense of anticipation he had never felt before. Today was different. Liara had promised him a challenge, one that would test everything he had learned over the past weeks. He dressed quickly, his mind already buzzing with thoughts of connection, understanding, and the possibilities of what humans could do. When he arrived at the cliffs, Liara was waiting beside her ship. She smiled, her eyes calm and patient. "John," she said, "today you will step beyond observation. Today you will act. Today you will help others understand what humans can do, not through force, but through thought, creativity, and empathy." John felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "What do I need to do?" he asked. Liara extended her hand, and together they boarded the ship. As they rose above the cliffs, John looked down at Earth, the blue and green planet stretching beneath him. For the first time, he realized that humanity was not confined to this small world. They had the potential to shine across the stars, to learn, to share, and to connect with other species. The ship traveled through space quickly, passing planets and stars, until it approached a system that glowed with soft, warm light. Liara guided John to a planet where two intelligent species were attempting to settle a disagreement. From what he could observe, the conflict was small, not dangerous, but it had the potential to grow if left unresolved. "These are the Velari and the Orioni," Liara explained. "They have misunderstandings about resource sharing, but neither wants to fight. Your task is to help them see each other clearly, to understand one another, and to find a solution that works for everyone." John swallowed, feeling the weight of responsibility. He had never mediated between species before. He had never led anyone in such a situation. But he remembered everything Liara had taught him, the value of observation, patience, empathy, and human creativity. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. Liara guided him down to the planet's surface. The Valari approached first. They were small, agile, with glowing markings along their arms that seemed to pulse with emotion. The Orioni were larger, solid, and calm, their eyes reflecting intelligence and curiosity. Both species looked at John with cautious attention, sensing that he was different, that he had a connection they could not yet understand. John focused. He opened his mind, as he had with the Solarans and the Thrinn. He observed their emotions, their fears, their hopes. Slowly, he began to communicate, not with words, but with feelings, understanding, and small gestures. He shared empathy, trust, and calmness, allowing both species to sense that he meant no harm and that he wished only to help. At first, there was hesitation. The Valari shifted nervously, and the Orioni's eyes narrowed slightly. But John remained patient. He shared his own feelings, showed his curiosity about their concerns, and reflected their emotions back to them in ways they could understand. Gradually, the tension began to ease. Liara watched quietly, a calm presence behind him. "Remember, John," she said softly, "humans can connect across differences. That is your strength." Trusted, John took a step forward. He suggested ideas for cooperation, ways the Valari and Orioni could share resources without conflict. He encouraged them to express their needs, listen to each other, and find solutions that were fair and respectful. Slowly, the two species began to respond, communicating more clearly, understanding each other's perspectives, and finding common ground. Hours passed, but John did not feel tired. He felt alive, purposeful, and connected to something larger than himself. By the end of the day, the Valari and Orioni had reached an agreement. They had discovered that communication, understanding, and patience could solve problems far more effectively than fear or force. John felt a swell of pride and relief. He had done it. He had helped beings from different worlds find harmony. He had used his human qualities, empathy, curiosity, and creativity, to make a real difference, and for the first time, he fully understood what Liara had meant when she called him her husband. It was not about romance or tradition. It was about partnership, trust, and shared purpose. That night, John and Lyra traveled back toward the cliffs on Earth. The stars stretched infinitely around them, vast and mysterious, yet familiar now in a way they had never been before. John looked at Liara and smiled. "I understand now," he said quietly. "It's not just about me learning. It's about humans realizing what we can do. We can connect, understand, and create solutions that no one else can. That is why you came for me." Liara nodded, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "Exactly, John. You have learned well. You have seen what humans can achieve when they embrace their strengths and their hearts. You are ready for the next steps, whatever they may be. Humanity has a role in the galaxy, and you have begun to show the way." As the ship descended toward the cliffs, John felt a deep sense of peace. He understood that he had been given an extraordinary opportunity, not because he was special in the usual sense, but because he was human. Humans could think, feel, and create in ways that bridged differences, healed misunderstandings, and connected worlds. That was their gift. That was their power. Back on Earth, life continued around him as if nothing had changed. The town was quiet, the streets familiar, and the stars above shining silently. Yet, John was different. He could no longer see life as ordinary. He could no longer see himself as ordinary. He had glimpsed the potential of humanity, and he carried it within him, ready to share it, explore it, and nurture it. Lyra remained by his side, calm, patient, and guiding. She did not demand anything, nor did she insist on titles or rituals. She only offered knowledge, wisdom, and connection. And John, with his human heart and mind, had learned to accept it, to grow with it, and to embrace the role he had been given. In the following days, John began to teach others in small ways. He shared what he had learned with scientists, thinkers, and students, not revealing the full scale of the galaxy, but showing the possibilities of understanding, collaboration, and human potential. People responded with curiosity, wonder, and enthusiasm. Slowly, he realized that humanity was ready to begin a new chapter, one that could reach beyond the boundaries of Earth, guided by curiosity, empathy, and creativity. One evening, as he stood on the cliffs watching the sunset, Liara joined him. The sky was painted in shades of orange and violet, the stars beginning to appear one by one. "Do you understand now?" she asked gently. John nodded.
"I do. Being your husband."
"It is about trust, partnership, and purpose. It is about showing what humans can achieve. I think I am ready to continue this journey, to help humanity take its place among the stars." Liara smiled, a soft glow surrounding her as she took his hand. "Then we will continue together, John.
The universe is vast, and there are many worlds to learn from, many beings to connect with, and many lessons to share.
Humanity has just begun its journey, and you are a part of that beginning." John felt a rush of hope, excitement, and determination. He realized that the universe was not a place to fear, but a place to explore, to understand, and to connect. Humanity's potential was limitless, and he had the chance to show it, not through violence, not through power, but through curiosity, empathy, and cooperation. That night, as John lay in bed, he thought of the stars, the planets, and the beings he had met. He thought of Liara, patient, wise, and guiding. He thought of humanity, small but capable of greatness, and he smiled, knowing that the future was bright, that the universe was vast, and that humans had a role among the stars ready to shine. The days, weeks, and months that followed were filled with discovery, learning, and connection. John traveled with Lyra to distant worlds, each time seeing more of the galaxy's beauty, intelligence, and wonder. He met creatures that thought in ways humans had never imagined, civilizations that solved problems with creativity and wisdom, and learned the importance of patience, trust, and empathy in every interaction. Through it all, John never lost sight of his role. He remained a human, humble yet capable, ordinary yet extraordinary, in his own way. He understood now that being human was not a limitation, but a gift. It was a gift that could connect worlds, bridge misunderstandings, and create harmony across the galaxy. And with Lyra by his side, guiding him, teaching him, and trusting him, John knew that he was ready for whatever the universe would ask of him. Together, they would explore, learn, and help humanity find its place among the stars. For John, the journey had begun with a strange encounter on the cliffs of Earth. A woman from the stars calling him her husband. It had led him to discover the depth of human potential, the beauty of other worlds, and the power of understanding and empathy. And it was only the beginning. He smiled, looking at the night sky. The stars were no longer distant and cold. They were full of possibility, full of life, and full of hope. And John, the human, chosen by an alien from another world, was ready to embrace it all. The universe was vast, mysterious, and beautiful, and humanity, small but brilliant, was ready to shine.
The alien woman said I was her husband. When I found out the truth, I couldn't come to my senses.